and so on.
We're going to call this regularly scheduled board meeting to order. And the first item of business is the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, just as a matter of Business to begin with, Jacqueline Hudson, the president, is ill today and is not going to be here. And I also know that Kyle has a commitment where he needs to be somewhere at 5 today. So it is anticipated that our formal business will be concluded between 4:30 and 4:40. So if, at that point, Kyle may need to excuse himself to meet that other commitment. With those opening bits of business taken care of, our next item is the approval of minutes for the April 2nd, 2024 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Dr. Freeman.
Board members, no recognitions tonight. We will move to item 5, financial statement. Courtney.
Good afternoon, board members. I provided the March 31st, 2024 financial statements and check register for your review. As of March 31st, 2024, we have collected 102.5% of our budgeted ad valorem tax revenues compared to the 94.6% we received last year at this date. In March, we earned $181,995 in interest income on our investment and treasury suite. Our total expenditures and transfers out in the general fund as of March 31st were 53.7% of the budget compared to 54.2% last year. In the 6th month of our fiscal year, with all things being equal, we should be at 50% of our budgeted expenditures. We are a little above that due to payments for some annual expenditures and an early lease payoff. Monthly financial statements and check registers are available for viewing on our website upon board approval, and all bank accounts have been reconciled as of March 31st, 2024.
Thanks, Courtney. Board members, I recommend approval of the financial statement for March 2024.
You've heard the recommendation of our superintendent. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Item 6, I recommend the board approve consent items related to disposal of property, student transfers, in-state and overnight, and out-of-state and overnight field trips.
We've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I hear a motion to approve of disposal of property in the out-of-state and in-state field trips?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Item 7 is business. Board member Jason Harp is with us from the firm of Carr-Reeves and Ingram, and he is going to cover for us the fiscal 23 audit. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you, Dr. Freeman. I appreciate it. Again, my name is Jason Harp. I'm with Carr-Reeves and Ingram, and I want to go over briefly the board's September 30th, 2023 audit, and let you, if you've got any questions, certainly entertain that. And again, I'm just going to kind of hit the high points. I know we're kind of, a little time constraints, so I won't go through, obviously, every page. But the important thing is we're issuing what we call an unmodified opinion, which is the highest opinion you can have related to your financial statements. In this document you'll find our audit opinion, and that goes through the processes involved in a financial statement audit. It talks about the things we do related to just in general vouching, recomputing, setting materiality limits, some of the things we go through. Part of that process is a big reliance on internal controls, and internal control, especially in the financial environment, is any process that will detect, correct, and prevent an error. You just heard one a minute ago when Ms. Brown said bank accounts are reconciled. That's a very important internal control. We rely on those a lot related to the financial statement audit, and we do some testing. We're not giving an opinion on them, but we do testing related to that. I think that's an important thing for the board to know, is to make sure you keep those internal controls over financial reporting, up to date. A lot of things can be prevented, with having good internal controls. So for instance, budgeting, reviewing disbursement registers, those type things certainly are where you want to be related to any of that. Most importantly, though, the board added about $6.5 million to its general fund balance, which is great. That pushes us up. In the previous years, we've been around the 30-day mark. That'll give you about 55 days of operating expenditures in your general fund balance, and that's certainly the direction you want to be headed. There's a minimum requirement, so this is above that, and that's where you want to be with that. We also have in that document required communication letter. I'm not going to go through that. It's in the back. it goes through certain things, that we're required to communicate with the board. For instance, we didn't have any disagreements with management over any accounting issues. There's a lot of estimates that go on in your financial statements. It kind of goes through those estimates, pensions, the post-employment benefits. A lot of actuarial estimates are in that, and that goes through that to just give you that information, among other things. But again, it's in the back, and you can read that, but that's from us to governance. And also, there's a separate audit over your federal awards, single audit. This year was IDEA, so we spent time related to compliance around that area, and we didn't have any findings over that. So I think that's really the high points that I wanted to mention. If you have any questions, I'll certainly answer that. I'd like to thank Ms. the Finance Department. They always do a good job, and we appreciate her, keeping everything good where we can get in and get out. The financial statement audit's disruptive, and she does a great job of getting us what we need so that we can get out of her way and let her, keep doing her normal daily job. So I'd like to thank her and the Finance Department. So.
Thanks, Jason. Question, board? I'm sorry, Scott. Unmodified opinion, highest opinion, best opinion you can get with an audit.
Unmodified.
Yeah.
Which you think you won't modify, but not, we don't want us to modify our opinion for anything.
And I just want to echo Jason's comment about how blessed we are as a system to have Courtney and her team working for us on our financial books and just keeping us straight as we go throughout the year. We're very appreciative of all that you do.
Well done. Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate that. No action on that, board members. That's an information only. Item B, I recommend the board approve the school calendar for the 2025-26 school year.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion to approve the school calendar for the 25-26 school year?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I just note that Dr. Rainey chairs this work each year, and we try to stay a couple of years ahead. And we presented, I think, our staff with 3 options for a calendar that a committee put together. And so that vote was held, and the one that prevailed is the one we're bringing to you tonight. Is that correct?
All in favor of approving the proposed school calendar for the 2025-2026 school year?
Item C, I recommend the board approve the parent-student handbook for the 24-25 school year.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation to approve the parent-student handbook for the 2024-2025 school year. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I would just note in your documents, there is a list of the things that have changed. Ms. Bailey, Jennifer Bailey's done a great job. It's ready to go again. Thank you, Jennifer. And it just notes change. I will just tell you though that with all legislative seasons, there could be something that impacts that. If it does, we bring it back to you in the summer.
And Dr. Freeman, the parent-student handbook is provided to students who will be attending our system in the 24-25 year this
That's
spring.
It is in the registration processes during the spring that parents can go through and see, and of course they sign off.
They sign off.
Acknowledgement of having read it. Yes.
All in favor of approving the parent-student handbook for the 2024-2025 school year?
Item D, I recommend the board approve the principal contract for Dory Hardy at Liberty Park Middle School.
We've heard the superintendent's recommendation to approve the contract for Dory Hardy. Do I have a motion?
So
Do I have a second?
Second.
I will comment, board members, when we do a principal search in these cases, we use a committee that includes stakeholders from the community, in this case, parents, teachers, staff, other staff members at the school, district employees, a pretty large committee that Dr. Rainey chairs, and we go through a process that I think is quite rigorous to find the best candidates, and then I take those and make a determination of the recommendation. Dory Hardy, as you know, has been assistant principal of over 2 years at Liberty Park Middle School, has done a fantastic job, and will do a fantastic job as principal.
With that, all in favor of approving the principal contract for Dory Hardy?
Aye. Congratulations, Dory. Item 8, personnel. I recommend the board approve the personnel actions as submitted.
Members of the board, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation to approve the personnel items as submitted. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Board members. I want to provide just a quick comment for you in my report on parking at the high school. That has been a much talked about topic recently at the school, and I just want to give a little bit of context for that today. Last year, when we were having conversations about our expansion needs in our facilities, one of those things we did want to do is increase parking at the high school. And certainly we're all aware that those plans were not successful, and so we've been aware of the need. It really has been more of a function of the capital or the revenues to do something about parking. There are some options at the school that I'll talk about in a moment, but last month, you might remember, I briefed you on enrollment trends in the district, and one of the things we pointed out is the next 2 school years will be really our highest attended years of juniors and seniors on the campus. At that point, unless demography really changes, it's going to begin to plane back down. It's going to start moving back down and decreasing. So the next 2 years are our kind of pinch points. And what we have been able to do for several years is get seniors and juniors on the lots parked. This year, that is more of a challenge. Currently, our seniors are, I believe we're open right now, Ms. Roselle. Tomorrow opens for seniors. And once we get those numbers in, then we know how many spots are left for juniors. The team, Ms. Roselle and her team, Dr. Navitt, have been working together on some communication to juniors, which will be forthcoming, I believe, at some point next week, that will outline the specifics of how many spots are left. They are working on some creative solutions to get to our objective, which is to try to get all of our seniors and juniors parked. We're working on some things as well. One thing I'll remind you of is a couple of years ago, we did sign an agreement with our architect for some improvements of parking on campus. Albeit that was a large exercise, there still are some places that we can probably do some limited things to help, even this summer. So I'll be back with you probably in May to talk more about that. So some of that's dependent and driven by how many spots we need. But we know that temporarily we can do some things to help. But we do have a goal to get them parked. It is unrealistic that we could park sophomores. That's just not going to happen. The only options on that campus are the alternative school building, which we could get some parking in. That's probably the most likely quick scenario. The next is tennis courts, which is not a really good scenario because we don't have a plan for it, but where tennis courts would go otherwise. And there's a piece of property on Lime Rock that we talked about last year a good bit. It's a long way away from the campus. Just to develop it and get 120 or so parking spots would be about a $3 million job. So $25,000 parking spot, I'm not sure that's the best way to spend their dollars. Fortunately, this summer, I'm expecting the state to provide some funding for capital needs, and that's a good thing. We have been able to secure a great partnership, thank you, Kimberly and Council, to do some things with shared spaces. The state is providing some revenue that will help us with some capital needs. And so we'll address some of the parking challenges with those dollars. So we have a fund source, and that's good. But that's the state of affairs now. Anything you guys want to add to that? Okay. All right, just stay tuned. They're working real hard to get some solutions. All right. That's it. Any questions? Okay.
All right, thank you, Dr. Freeman, for that report. We will now turn to public comment, and consistent with policy 2.5 of our board manual. Please note that the individual desiring to speak shall stand and give his or her name and their address. The presentation should be as brief as possible, and in no event shall such address exceed 3 minutes. The speaker may have statements about their particular concern. The speaker may make statements about their particular concern with school operations and programs. In public session, however, the board will not hear personal complaints against particular school personnel or against any person connected with the school system. Other means are provided whereby the board may consider and dispose of legitimate complaints involving individuals and employees within the school system. Further, the board does not typically respond to comments during public participation. I'll note that there have been no one has signed up to speak. There was one who signed up, but in my discretion, we're also going to allow, if there's anybody else here who wants to speak, to do so in an organized, orderly fashion.
I would like to speak, but whoever signed up,
I signed up.
go ahead.
Can I start?
Yes.
Tristan, you have 2 minutes. Just so you know, for fairness, we do have a timer on 3 minutes, so it's not something we do arbitrarily.
My name is Patrick Mills. I was a 2016 graduate from the high school. I want to begin by making it clear that today I am not representing any specific faculty member. I'm not representing any specific group. I just want to give voice to a sentiment held by myself and many other community members. On Saturday, it came to my knowledge that Lauren Dressback, a teacher and administrator beloved by the community, had been put on administrative leave. In the wake of her coming out as a lesbian, this sudden and unexplained action appears to me and many other community members as an unjustified attack on an LGBTQ faculty member. It's hard for me and the rest of the community to believe that a historically stellar and beloved faculty member like Ms. Dressback would do something to warrant this. Once upon a time, I was a student at Vestavia, a gay student at Vestavia. The Vestavia school system provided me with so many wonderful things: good instruction, passionate faculty, extracurriculars. However, one thing it did not provide for me was a safe place to come to terms with my sexuality. This is partly because growing up in Vestavia, I never had a single gay role model in my life, not a single one. This is partly because, not seeing your identity represented in the adults in your life makes you feel alone, erased, with nowhere to turn and nowhere to go. I would have done anything to have an outwardly gay teacher or administrator like Lauren Dressback. Children and students need to see their identity represented in school. They need to see their identity represented. I thought that our society was changing, that people like Ms. Dressback could have a positive impact on gay students like me, but actions like putting her on administrative leave signal to me that this community is still not a safe place for gay people. I'd like to remind the board that its mission is to create an educational system distinguished by 1, a safe and nurturing environment, 2, the courage to be creative, 3, unparalleled community support, and 4, appreciation of diversity. That's your mission. The action of putting Lauren Dressback on administrative leave undermines this mission. 1, it signals that Vestavia is not a safe environment for members of the LGBTQ community. 2, it strips students like me and faculty of the courage to be themselves. 3, it shows that the community does not support its LGBTQ students and faculty. And 4, it makes the board's claim that it appreciates diversity appear, quite frankly, laughable. Our community deserves better. Our hardworking teachers deserve to be protected regardless of whom they choose to love. And every student, regardless of sexual orientation, deserves to see school as a safe place where their identity is protected and represented. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. Is there anybody else?
By the way, if you're planning on getting a job as a teacher at Vestavia right now, you can probably kiss that goodbye. Now that you've, said you're gay, which is perfectly fine. But I'm Jim Whisenhunt. I'm a 25-year plus resident of Vestavia. I've had 2 kids that graduated from Vestavia High School. I want to ask, if I ask questions, are you obligated to answer them?
We generally do not respond to public comment here today.
Private comments, the way you answer your questions.
I'm sorry?
You said you won't make public comment. I guess that means only private comment.
Ms. Whisenhunt, if you email us and we're capable of responding,
Okay, here would be my questions. What happened to Principal Lauren Dressback? She had her contract extended. Now, let me just say this. The board has made no public statements about this, so all you can get is what your friends and what your social media and other things say. And to the best of my knowledge, what has happened is in summer of last year, her contract was extended for 3 or 4 years. She's been a great teacher and principal at more than just Cobb Heights Elementary. Then in January or February, she came out as gay, as a lesbian. She got divorced and she has a partner. Somewhere between giving her a 3 or 4 year extension and her saying you're gay, after her saying she's gay, somebody here made a decision to discipline her. She's not been allowed back at school. Word has it, she probably won't be, that she's being offered a more difficult job and one that's certainly not the stature of principal at an alternative school. And it's obvious that it's just because she says she's gay. We have too much homophobia right here. I'm not, if you guys were responsible for what happened to her, you're homophobic. I thought we were past that, just like this man said. It disgusts me that a person can lose. Actually, it's against law. I hope her lawyer just goes to the extreme of what he's going to do. The Constitution now, by the Supreme Court Justice ruling a few years ago, gay people can get married. They're supposed to have the same rights as everybody else. It's shameful. If that is the reason, and I can't think of any other reason. She said she was gay. A month later, she's let off the campus. It's my understanding she couldn't even go see her son's track meet without permission. Whoever's in charge, Superintendent, if it's you, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? This is going on all over the country, this Christian nationalism, where we're going to pass laws and we're going to do things, and therefore it's only our way or the highway. Well, you get Ms. Dressback the highway. And we're looking forward to the media. I will contact my friends at TV stations at AL.com, and they will be contacting you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Katie Thrasher. I have 2 boys who are in kindergarten and 1st grade at Dolly Ridge. Vestavia Hill City Schools consistently ranks in the top 5 in our state year after year, with the added distinction of having an incredible history marked with triumphs and successes for children with disabilities. The track record for providing an incredible, inclusive, kind environment for all children to grow has been truly prolific over the last 10 years. For these reasons, my husband and I have made this community our home. However, we have become increasingly concerned about the culture and environment that is being cultivated at our son's campus at Dolly Ridge. As a family, we have been listening intently for any response and watching for any accountability in regard to the recent article on AL.com in March about our school. Your silence is loud. It is a resounding and deafening acceptance of this type of behavior, not just towards children with disabilities, but towards all children who attend Dolly Ridge and its sister schools. Please take a moment to think of your own children. Think of a time you witnessed your child the most upset you have ever seen them. In that moment of vulnerability, they were probably able to articulate to you exactly why they were upset, if they were scared, if they were hurt, if they were sick, if someone had been unkind to them, if they had had their feelings hurt. Now imagine your child cannot articulate those things to you. Our boys are both nonverbal. Many of their classmates have communication issues. So imagine that moment occurs at school without you. Imagine that there's security footage of your child in that emotional or physical anguish. And imagine further that the educators you trust and are completely beholden to for any information regarding your baby's day are gathered around the security footage, filming it with their phones and laughing. We are completely dependent on the moral fiber of the people holding our children every day. We get all of our information from those adults. Would you be comfortable with the silence surrounding this culture that allowed this to occur? Would you wonder if they are being received with kindness every day or indifference? They deserve a safe, accepting space that they are promised, a space filled with empathy, discipline, grit, and excellence. We are beyond heartbroken. Our worst fears for our boys have become reality, and we have worked too hard to allow them to be exposed to a culture and environment where they are not valued, respected, or cared for. They deserve better. We have been even further disheartened that when our local organizations, including United Ability, reached out to offer courses and seminars on serving children with disabilities free of charge to our school, they were also met with silence. We are not demanding any specific action or statement, but we are now begging our community for any response or reassurance that our elementary school is providing a safe and supportive environment for our children to grow and thrive. And we would do anything to have Lauren dress back. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thacker. Are there any other comments?
I'll go.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Dr. Laura Johnson. I am a 1991 graduate of Vestavia. My husband is also a 1991 graduate of Vestavia. We returned to Vestavia for our daughter, and we have had some wonderful experiences, and we've had some pretty bad experiences as well. So I've heard several say that the decisions that the board and the administration make are all for the children. Unfortunately, there is one rebel who knows differently. There is one little rebel who knows that the actions do not always support those words. There is one little rebel with a disability who knows that what's best for the children, when it comes to what's best for the children, the leaders of the school, just to protect themselves and each other. There is one little rebel with a disability who has been through more trauma than a multitude of people ever should, and some of that has been caused directly by the district. There are actually many rebels who have been through more trauma than anyone on the board could ever imagine or want for their children, and that has also been caused by the district. There is one little rebel with a disability who has already learned at a very young age to advocate for herself and for the others in her class. There is one little rebel with a disability who may never be a star athlete or the smartest in the school, but she is the heart and the soul of the school, and not one person can take that from her. She makes every other student better and also every teacher better for having known her. There is one little rebel with a disability who, along with her mom, will make changes in this district. My one little rebel with a disability will not be forgotten, because we will not stop fighting for the children of this district with disabilities to be treated with decency, dignity, and respect. And you will hear the name Emma Grace Johnson again and again and again, because this one rebel will not stop fighting. Thank you.
Are there any other comments? With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Meeting adjourned.